Pixie Jones, and I'm filling in for Heather Forbes McKeon today. She's the producer of Time Capsules here at 3RPP, and I'm joined by three of the actors who performed on the radio plays: John Russell, Rob Lister, and Matthew Cossab. And thank you all for coming today.
That's right.
Right, so we'll just have it was the Time Capsules were a series of 10 radio plays based on historic events that occurred on the Mornington Peninsula, and the series was recorded here at 3RPP. So first of all, I'll start with John, because you're down that end. John, I'm just going to ask you, did you enjoy your acting time in Time Capsules?
Yeah, thoroughly, Pixie. Yeah, it was great. Great. Somebody who's been involved in amateur theatre for a number of years, but has had, I suppose, a long interlude. It was good to be invited, and it was good fun. Yeah. And nice to sort of reimagine the place where you live in a different historical context in this case.
Yes. Well, you like a bit of history, don't you, John?
I certainly do. So, the particular story that I was involved in, I think was a early 20th century episode, and it involved a collision of ships, and there was, typical human tragedy, and it was great to sort of be able to kind of bring that pathos. Always good to be involved in amateur theatre anyway, when it comes time to just generating a bit of camaraderie and whatnot.
Yeah.
It was great.
And the same question for you, Rob. Did you enjoy your time on Time Capsules?
I did, yeah. It was nice. It was I've never done radio before, and it was a very nice experience just to have a different environment to work in as a performer. And not only that, but sharing the space with other actors as well. Just new techniques and crafts you learn. It was a really, really good experience, yeah.
And you'd like to do that again, do you think?
Yeah, if the opportunity came along, I would definitely say, I'd give it another go. Why not?
You, John, you'd like to do that again?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, and I'd concur. It was good to be in a different medium. Yeah, it just allowed a different focus.
Yeah. And Matthew, I'll ask you the same question. Did you enjoy that experience?
Yeah, I definitely did enjoy the experience. I think it was interesting to not be focusing on the physical aspect of it, like really honing in on the expression and communicating the emotion without relying on the physicality, which I feel like in one way that it helps to have the physicality, but then it also helps if you're just focusing on how it is to express something. I know that we obviously still can move around, and it's like we're acting like in the moment, but I felt it was really interesting to like split that off, because all of the acting experience I've ever had has always been very physical, and I'm a very like slapstick kind of performer. I like comedy and getting into the physicality of it, so it was like a whole nother experience just to be focusing on the audio.
Yeah. And can you tell me one at a time maybe what you enjoyed the most about it, do you think?
Well, for me, the best thing was not having to worry about what you looked like. You just come in after work, sweaty, unshaven, disgusting. I apologise for the smell.
I apologise, my whole life.
But I think just experimenting with your vocal range as an actor, because there's so many especially a lot of the episodes we did, a lot of different characters were played by myself and other people, and we had to find different tones and accents and levels to differentiate between who was on first and who would appear in a later scene. So I just liked experimenting with those types of roles.
Do you like doing accents usually?
I do. I think a few of them I do pretty all right. Some people say others, they're a bit shit, Rob. So, get to that. But, it's always fun, as an actor, you get to do an accent.
Yes, that's very true. So what is it about acting in radio plays that interests you most? I'll start with you, Matthew. You've already sort of covered it a little bit with the...
Radio plays. I think...
You've done a few, haven't you? Apart from the historic ones. Have you done them before?
No, this is my first time.
That's your first? Okay. Right.
So the question is, what do I like about the radio play?
Yes.
What would I like the most? I think what I like... These particular radio plays, I enjoyed the fact that obviously they're very powerful, dramatic moments of the history of the peninsula, and so just the nature of that meant that it was very emotional. And so for me, I think the thing I enjoyed most about doing these radio plays in particular was just kind of like what John was saying about the pathos. Like there was really a lot of emotion in all of these radio plays, and it's always fun to tap into that place.
Yeah.
To be experiencing an emotion that that you don't normally get to experience, and like even just being with the other actors, having their input. Like I remember sitting here, and even when I wasn't having anything that I was actually saying at the time, hearing everyone else really get into their character, I was being affected. It was like, wow. And especially like growing up on the peninsula, like felt like this is as close as I'm going to get to actually being there in these moments, which is pretty special to experience. Yeah.
It's funny you say that because like so many people I talk to who live on the peninsula who are a lot older than myself, I tell them I'm doing this play, it was about this. They say, oh, we remember hearing about that in the paper, actually being part of that experience ourselves. Like the fires in Dramana, for example, people actually remember, around that time and there. So yeah, just a way of connecting with people. It's really interesting.
Did you have any particular favourite of the stories, John, at all?
Well,
what was the one you were involved with?
Well, again, it was early 20th century collision of ships, and it was a case of men having to do their duty. When in actual fact there was all sorts of reasons to panic. So it sort of introduced that, I guess, that notion of stoicism, which is necessary to be cool in a crisis. So it was that. There was also an inquiry afterwards, and there's always that strong possibility that there's going to be a great injustice that'll be done in a situation which is basically outside of the realm of people's control. Because that's what the justice system does. Sometimes it's got to make sense of it, and that means finding a guilty party. So it had that extra dimension, and in all of that, and this comes back to doing it on radio. I think if you're involved in amateur dramatics, you've got the assistance of a set to help you imagine that world. Whereas for all of us, I would imagine it was a case of getting up to the microphone, but we'd constructed what that scene would have been like in each of our own heads. And I know in my situation, for instance, I just couldn't help but think back to an event which would have involved ancestors of mine who were involved in a shipwreck. And so, I was imagining that tragedy, death of a wife and 2 children and a surviving husband, and that enabled me, if you like, to kind of add that extra kind of creative dimension that you wouldn't normally be able to do, as I said, if it was being acted on a stage.
That's true. So did anyone find any challenges? Matthew, did you find anything difficult or challenging?
Yeah, for sure, all the different accents, especially like even in one play to be doing multiple roles with different accents, having to do that. Like I find accents just in general challenging, only like I would say probably because I've never really learned how to do them professionally in that sense. So just to try and do that and having to change not only the accents but the different characters and how they're feeling, they're all feeling a different thing, like all within a short amount of time, was definitely probably the most challenging thing for me to do.
And there weren't a lot of takes. It was kind of
on.
It was very, very tight schedule. You just have like an hour and a half and you just get it done and just, it was good.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. So were there any particular favourites, John? Did you have a favourite character at all out of your...
No, and I didn't. And I should say that from the collegiate aspect of it all, everybody was really impressive. Like I said before, everybody was really invested. Everybody brought quite a high degree of professionalism to the project. It was great, and the stories were just interesting, other than the historical context, which is, always great. As I said, to reimagine where you live, say 100 or so years ago, they're just great tales.
And putting yourself in the shoes of those people who had gone through the tragedies, as you were saying, John.
Absolutely. The times change, but the people don't.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
easy to adopt the personas.
And those young footballers were that was very sad.
That story's going to be written time and time again, isn't it? Yes, I can see that that is almost the tragedy of the Mornington Peninsula and all the things that have happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because how many were there? Do you remember, Matthew? How many were on that boat?
Not all of them went on, didn't they? I think some.
Not the whole team,
Not the
no.
whole
Not the
team.
whole
So
team,
I think
no.
I thought it was 13 or
yeah,
something.
13, at least
Yeah.
13. Yeah, so it's, and actually, that episode that John's talking about the footballers, when I spoke to people, in their later ages, that was the one that they remembered the most. They just remembered. I think there's something in Mornington, like a little monument erected for that thing.
Yes,
And
down
Main Street.
On Main
Main
Street.
Street,
Yeah,
yes, yes.
and that's one they probably connect with the most because like that is the most recent one, and they just at the time it's like wow,
Yeah.
it happened.
Yes, I didn't know about the monument, which I will go and have a look at.
Was that the episode when we all read different parts and we were all like calling after like looking for someone like
Looking for
who
this.
was survived?
Yes.
And we all
Calling
just
out.
just quite different names. Like it was really somber, eerie moment of the whole recording.
Wondering who had
Who
survived.
would still survive? Yeah.
It was really odd. I was down at Point Nepean a couple of weeks ago and going all the way down to the point, and on the way back we passed where the quarantine station was, and then I was thinking about that's where Harold Holt disappeared, and I'd been there before the radio plays and hadn't really thought much of it, but having heard these stories and been a part of these stories and then to be walking there was really eerie for me and gave it just a whole nother depth, just going, there's a lot of history here,
That's how I
Absolutely.
felt too,
Yeah.
particularly about the boat. I spoke to Heather about the boat that arrived and then was told that in Melbourne and then was told, move on, you've got disease.
Yeah.
And, you can imagine that as a mother with children being told,
Yeah.
you've got to get down there and be with all the others that are sick. Would have been quite scary.
And I always think it's the despair of, travelling halfway around the world in those times and then finding yourself getting to your destination and then being thwarted at the last possible second.
Yeah.
I mean, they were tough people for tough times when you think about it. And somebody like Holt, who's an experienced spear fisherman, scuba diver. I mean, the rest of the world makes jokes about his disappearance. How could you lose an Australian Prime Minister? But, we're just sort of reminded it's pretty fragile out there, in that environment. Beautiful, but it can bring
He
about
had
your
loved
undoing very
ones that were
quickly.
worried about him.
Yeah.
Just the same as anyone would. Absolutely. So, John, starting with you, I'm just going to ask you some different questions about your actual background in acting, what you've done, any favourite roles you've played, where you've performed on the peninsula or elsewhere.
Mornington CF plays, been involved in cabaret performances at Dimboola, been involved in a few David Williamson plays. That's about it, Pixie. You and I, of course, have collaborated
I was going to
many
say, bring
times
that
over
up.
the years. We've done theatre for education. We've taken plays to schools. It's always been just a great, fun activity.
Yes, absolutely. And you're a very good actor, John. And I've loved
You
performing
have
with you.
a magnificent resonant voice.
So do
Yes.
you, Matthew.
Oh, thank you.
So do you, Rob.
Oh, thank you. I mean, and I'm not sure. I mean, like I think I recorded 6 or 7 episodes, and John only came in for when I was there just the one episode. But when he does, the way he delivers his dialogue, it just everyone stops and
So
just listens
commanding.
to his voice. It's a very remarkable talent you have, John.
What is the joke? You've got a great face for radio. No,
Good.
you have.
Need to be brought down.
You've got John's great on stage. I love watching him. Doesn't matter what he does. Not enough of you, John, actually.
Isn't
on
there?
stage, no.
That hasn't been said about me on
We
stage.
could do Lily again. I wouldn't. All right, and Rob. Now, recently I saw you in Caravan, and that was great fun at Frankston.
Oh
Theatre
yeah,
Group.
yeah. No, I do a lot of shows because I'm from Frankston. I do a lot with Frankston Theatre Group, acting and directing as well. The most recent project I did Agatha Christie's The Mousetrap with the
That
1812
was
plays
very
up
good.
in Ferntree Gully. That was
yeah.
fun. Definitely the most professional show I've ever done. We did like 5 or 6 shows a week for 4 weeks straight, and just like, yeah, just.
And your change in character was amazing.
yeah, for those who haven't read the book, my character did change characters.
It was scary.
At the end. So yeah.
But well done to you for that. It was fabulous.
Well, thank you.
Really good. And I enjoyed Caravan too. That was good fun. And a great set for that too.
Yeah, very good. They actually, they put a caravan on stage. It worked. It was great.
Matthew, have you been doing anything on stage or anywhere performing?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I started out with Panorama, which is like
Yes.
the local theatre group, kids theatre group. Did a few shows with them, and I've done Plos, which is the more adult version.
Musicals mainly. isn't it?
Musicals, yeah.
Yes.
I did also do a play, The Removalist, with Frankston Theatre Group. And we did actually, I did another play down at the Briars about, my character was Louis Marchand, Napoleon.
Ah, yes, because he's got some history there. Yes.
And other than that, I've done, just as John said, I've done some theatre and education, touring the East Coast doing musicals in primary schools.
That sounds fun.
That was fun.
Yeah.
Being on the any kind of job you can get where you're travelling around and touring is ultimate to me.
There should be more of it.
There
John,
definitely should
come
be more
on.
of it, yeah.
You've got a cast right here.
All right, let's put it together.
And I've also
We'll get in
done.
a boat. No, we won't get in a boat.
No, definitely no boat, not on the peninsula, that's for sure. I've also done some work abroad. I've worked at Universal Studios in Japan.
Oh, wow.
And in Singapore. I actually recently was just in Japan, and I was showing them some of the shows that we did back in the day. I was in the Blues Brothers show. It was such a good show. Like all that music from that era is just amazing. Such a feel good show. Yeah.
You get around quite a bit.
Did you get to dress up as Jake or Elmore?
I was Elwood.
Elwood, I should say.
Elwood. Yeah.
Well, you do quite a bit of travelling. That sounds good.
It's always good.
Well, I think that might do us for today. We'll wrap it up now. And thank you very much for coming in and talking to me instead of Heather. And we'll see you all again, hopefully, in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Cheers.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Matthew.
It's been an honour.
Thank you, Steve.